It is time to tackle a project which has been long overdue. I'm talking about a holder for center drills, dies and taps. For two main reasons. First being, it's very inconvenient always to have to reach for the drawer, open it, search for your respective part you need, put it back and so on and so forth. A holder which is always on the tabletop is much more convenient than that. And secondly, my taps and dies are everywhere around the shop. Okay, here is my lathe, and down here, in this near to bottom drawer, here are my center drills, and in here are my dies. You can see it barely fits a finger in here. Talk about convenience. Open this, I have to assemble my die holder, search for my die, put it back where it belonged, and now imagine I wanted to tap a hole. I would need to walk way over there and open this drawer here. Here is where I keep my taps, and you may notice there are also a set of dies over here and some easy outs on the side. This is my very first set that I bought for something like 35 euros, and to be honest, none of these taps actually worked. You can see the silver ones here. These are proper taps which I bought for probably the price of all of this thing. The dies are just rubbish. I only keep this M2 and this M3, I think it is, just because the space is there. But just imagine, I won't be needing all of the golden taps you can see. The easy outs are crap, all these dies are crap. Basically, this is a huge waste of space. If this suitcase wasn't here, I have an entire new drawer here where I could put loads of more stuff. After having responsibly disposed of all the tools of inferior quality, here is what natural selection has left over. I'll make the base out of wood, which is leftovers from when I built my living room table. And I'll keep true to the philosophy I use there, which is work mostly with hand tools. I think, as a metal worker at least, wood is such a nice and soft material to work with that it is a pleasure to work with wood tools on this, which are purely hand-driven. Step 1, of course, cutting off the blank. I'll be using my granddad's wood saw for this, which at the moment is incredibly dull, unfortunately. So, first we'll have to resharpen the blade, and for that I'll also have to set the teeth. Luck has it, I own just the tool for the job. This is a pair of vintage setting pliers, which I acquired from the shop I got all my steam engines from, shortly before it closed down forever, sadly. What's especially important with hand tools on woodworking is their sharpness, and with a saw blade also its smoothness. So I took a sanding paper and took all the surface rust off here. I mean, look how much there was on here. It didn't look that dirty, right? There is no need to go all my mechanics on this. It's enough to have it feel smoothly and not have any rough rust on here. It doesn't need to be 100% shiny. This is plenty good enough. So now we can start sharpening it. Now this board is some 27 millimeters thick, which is far too beefy for what I want it to look like. So we'll use my favorite woodworking hand tool, which is the planer, hand plane I think is what it's called, and bring it down to size. Now that might seem insane, but with a sharp, nicely polished blade you can hog materials so fast and get such a nice surface finish, it's incredible. So I'm not afraid of taking this down like 7 millimeters or so until it looks nice. Drilling the side holes to mount all the taps and center drills is going to be straightforward. What's not that straightforward is getting the V-shaped groove in here where the dies will sit in. What I'm going to do is take a drill and go in here at an angle to have the V-shape established, and then clean the rest out with a chisel, which will hopefully look acceptable. You may notice we're back to square 1.5 here. I kind of scrapped the part when I tried chiseling these middle sections here out. I should have known this wasn't going to work, because whenever you chisel a gate somewhere you need a saw cut on either side in order to keep things from breaking out, and especially because I worked across the grain here, I pretty much busted the entire thing apart. I then tried chiseling an entire groove into the middle and cover it up with a quickly made sheet of brass. Then I tried to nail the brass into place and the nails broke, and when I busted the nails while trying to punch out the existing nails, I kinda lost it and punched the thing to pieces. So yeah, I quickly made this new one here, nothing different from the old one, and we're now going to make ourselves a cutter of this type, sort of like a Woodruff key cutter or T-slot mill, and we're going to try and get the radii into here like that. It's going to have a rather long stick out so that I can get into the pieces here in the middle as well, and I think that's giving us a lot better chance in order to succeed. Now I know I'm kind of violating my own no power tools rule here, but see it this way, we're not working on wood here. So I had to break the no power tools rule completely there. It would have just taken far too much pressure to do this by hand. I was going to show you a neat old trick from my granddad with a bitten brace, where you would chuck this thing up, hold that against your breast, and then take one of these securing bands, you know, for luggage and stuff. Put it around your leg, like so, and that would create the necessary downward pressure in order to be able to mill in here. However, as you can already see, the cutter has a very strong tendency to just walk off. This would work for the small carbide burrs that you would use to deburr stuff, or on a die grinder, for example, but this is just far too aggressive a profile, so even with the lathe I slipped here and there, and I'm hoping this one's going to polish out, and this one is right where I will need to drill a hole for a tap, so you know, it might just vanish. And then of course, if you put all the dies in here, the surface finish inside the things here, not really important. So this works out fine. Next thing will be drilling the holes, and I promise you I'll do that by hand. It's curious, you know. The top on this radio I did with the very same varnish that I did this with, and well, the radio looks good, and this thing just looks like it has been in the fire too long. It's interesting how different wood reacts, and also frustrating. Well, as you can see, I've opted to make it mahogany instead, because that other stuff just looked like crap. So now it looks a lot better, and it's ready for a clear coat. Okay, here it is. You can see, despite the imperfections, it actually looks quite nicely, and for what it is, I think it's going to work just right. You can see it sitting here with my other drill holders and racks of stuff, and it, you know, fits in here perfectly. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the little different project, and thank you all for watching. Bye bye.